If you've ever tried to control multi-digit 7-segment displays directly from an Arduino Uno or similar microcontroller board, you know it's a struggle. Such displays usually need to be multiplexed to reduce pin count and current draw, which means that the display must cycle through all digits at hundreds or thousands of hertz. Many libraries exist that handle this for you, that package the multiplexing into a single refresh method called from loop. But all of them come with one major downside. You must call that function continuously, which means that you need a very tight loop with non-blocking code. Any calls to delay and the display will flicker or freeze entirely. This can make programming these displays very difficult, especially for beginners. That's why I wrote Autoplex 7, a new library that revolutionizes 7-segment display control. It throws refresh calls right out the window, automatically multiplexing your display for you. You can delay all day, and your screen will stay crystal clear and flicker-free. Autoplex 7 is a versatile, powerful, yet simple Arduino library for controlling 7-segment displays with up to 8 digits. It uses timer 1 to automatically refresh your display at 1 kHz, freeing up your main loop. It's compatible with both common anode and common cathode displays, supports user-defined pinouts, and works on many common AVR boards, such as the Arduino Uno and Mega. Autoplex 7's number one goal is simplicity, and getting it up and running on your display is so easy it takes under 5 minutes. First thing you'll need to do is download the library. Launch the Arduino IDE, then click the books on the left to open the library manager. Search for Autoplex 7, make sure the latest version is selected, then click install. Boom. You've got the world's simplest 7-segment display library out there. Now let's learn how to use it. Before we learn to use Autoplex 7, let's have a look at the hardware and circuit diagram required to operate it. Now, this library is very flexible when it comes to connections and wiring. Any of the display pins can go to any of the Arduino pins that you'd like. However, you still must ensure that a resistor is placed between each digit pin and its connected Arduino pin. A resistor of at least 270 ohms is the standard recommendation. If you'd like to follow along with this video specifically, here is the schematic that I'll be using. Using the Autoplex 7 software is even easier than wiring up the display. The first thing you need to do is include the library in your sketch by typing #include autoplex7.h. Then create a display object and give it a name. Any name. How about we call it My Display? Next, let's enable the automatic multiplexing. This requires a tiny interrupt routine, but don't worry. It's just 3 lines of code and you'll probably never touch it again. All you need to do is type out ISR display_refresh followed by an opening curly brace. Inside, we'll call the multiplex method on My Display. Lastly, we need to define some parameters so that Autoplex 7 can operate our display correctly. Within setup, let's make a Boolean variable called displayType. You can set this to equal either common anode or common cathode, depending on the type of display that you're using. In this case, I'm using a common cathode display. Below that, let's make a byte variable called displayDigits. You can set this to equal the number of digits your display has. In my case, I'm using a 4-digit display, so I'll set it to 4. Next, we need a byte array called digit pins. Inside that, we can provide the pin numbers that each digit pin is connected to. First is D1, which I'll connect to pin 1 on my Arduino, then D2, which I'm connecting to pin 2, D3 to pin 3, and D4 to pin 4. And last but not least, we'll define the segment pin connections. We can do this using another byte array. We'll call it segment pins. Inside of this array, we can provide all of the Arduino pins that the display segment pins are connected to, in the order of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the decimal point. In my case, I have A connected to pin 5, B to pin 6, C to 7, D to 8, E to 9, F to 10, G to 11, and the decimal point tied to pin 12. And now that the parameters are ready, we can simply call MyDisplay.begin to initialize the screen. Inside the parentheses, we can pass the display type, display digits, digit pins, and segment pins. The screen is now ready. However, it is standard practice to perform a segment test at startup, so we can call MyDisplay.testDisplay and provide the duration in milliseconds as an argument. Let's do a 1-second segment test, and then wipe the display blank using MyDisplay.clear. At this point, we are ready to upload the code, and the 7-segment display will show all segments for 1 second and then deactivate itself. If we want to make the display perform something more interesting, there are numerous built-in methods to do just that. Inside of loop, we can tell the display to show a number using the MyDisplay.showNumber method. Within the parentheses, we can provide the number we wish to show as a 32-bit integer argument. For this example, let's show 1234. We can also show a floating point number by using the built-in showNumberF method, which takes two arguments. The first one being double num, which I'll set to pi in this example, and the second being the number of digits to show after the decimal point. Since we're using a 4-digit display, we have enough room for 3. Autoplex 7 also supports the display of strings using the print function, which accepts a raw character array. To use this, we can provide text wrapped in double quotes as an argument. Why not ABCD? The print method can also approximate many symbols, like brackets, question marks, asterisks, curly braces, dashes, underscores, commas, equal signs, slashes, and more. And that's it! Just with those simple functions, you can do so much. You can draw animations, display sensor data, draw user interfaces. The possibilities are endless. Yet we've barely even scratched the surface of what this library is capable of. So in the future, I'm going to create more tutorials for Autoplex 7's advanced functions, like menu multiplexing multiple displays and appending characters to the display buffer. Until then, I really hope this video was sufficient in getting you started with the library. And if it was, be sure to drop a like down below and leave me any comments if you have any questions or suggestions. I always read them.